All right, we're gonna bring in DC's People's Champ, and we're also got Arun in the house. We're gonna switch
house.
gears. We're gonna go talk about some disappointing Wizards that we were very far off with our 2-2
Not so much.
or 3-1 predictions and stuff like that. I'm gonna introduce Champ first. While I changed the icon and remember at the beginning of the segment for the first time ever. Champ, how are you doing tonight?
I feel like a right donkey with my prediction after the way the Wizards played this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, I felt like, I don't know.
It's a mirage. They were a mirage at 3-1 with that easy schedule.
Yes, well, they seem to do this. They did it last year too, and I felt like we were like 3 weeks later saying something similar.
Yeah.
To be like, fuck, like here we go again. But yeah, we'll get into it. It's tonight's game was disappointing for huge stretches of it, but of course they make it close in the end. The last two games were kind of an anomaly. They had been shooting so well. I mean, I remember Arun and us talking last week about how they're one of the best shooting teams in the NBA, and then it kind of fell off for them in these last couple of games. But Arun, how are you doing tonight?
Doing well. At least the Commanders won, I guess. Not the Wizards. I guess they won the first game and lost the next three, so not so well on that front.
Right. Yeah, it started off well. So let's see. All right, we got 4 people up on camera. I'm gonna just try something real quick. We'll see if it's gonna work. If not, then we will go without stats on the thing. But we'll just see. Make this one. And then we'll go over here. This button, and then we drag this down. There we go. All right, well, we got all 4 of us up on screen. We have this. And we're gonna go back in time just a little bit here. To so
By the way, if anybody cares, the Cincinnati Bengals are absolutely getting horse crapped on by the Browns.
Oh
yeah,
geez.
They just missed an extra point too.
Browns, yeah, they
25-6.
7.
They missed a field.
They missed
field goal too earlier.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, that was pretty bad. Breaking news: they missed that extra point. So it's 4:15 left in the game, but they are being dominated. It's a good point. I'm happy you mentioned Champ because we've had it on this whole time and not talked about it because it was that bad of a game in comparison.
This game's trash.
To everything else that we had going on. Literally, I think we talked about 6 different sports things before we talked about that. But it is what it is. I mean, it's good for
the Ravens.
Yeah.
Because the Bengals are second place. So.
Oh, that's true. I can't believe they're losing this badly.
Yeah. The Browns are
the
Browns desperately need a win. So
yeah. All right. So let's talk about the good game of this week. They outscored the Pistons. Game was at home in Washington, 28-25. And the second they outscored them 28-24. The third, they outscored them 29-26. So very constantly just, getting more points. And then in the fourth, they kind of pulled away, outscored them 35-24 for a 120-99 victory. I thought they played well across the board. A lot of people in double figures here. Riley Beal didn't put up like a ton of numbers, but overall, it's nice to sort of have it where you have a lot of players contributing. Because look, I mean, Daniel Gafford has 9 here too. So I mean, you got even points up here. So it all adds up in the end, and it's better to have more players in and around. So we got 9 for Monte Morris and 9 for Jenny too. So it's almost even more double digits. So I just thought it was a really good first game. I'm gonna start with Tim. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, just the Pistons are a really bad team still. They have some good young talent like Cade Cunningham, and they did keep it close until the fourth quarter, but the Wizards really pulled away. And I like their balanced scoring in this game. And I also see Barton had 16 points And I think so far the Wizards probably won the trade for him and Morris for KCP. So I like that. But this was kind of the last good game for the Wizards because they played better teams and last good vibes game. So wish it lasted, but it did not.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Tim?
Yeah, like Tim said, this was definitely the one good game out of the week where the Wizards looked like a complete team. They shot well. You got a lot of good production out of your star players like Kuzma and Porzingis and Beal. Barton, Hachimura also contributed as well. So it was a good all-around game for the Wizards, but it would definitely not be a foreshadowing of what would be to come for this team moving forward. My goodness, like I wish we could have replicated what happened in this game with the other ones.
Yeah. Arun, break down some of the stats for us.
Yeah, Kyle Kuzma, 25 points with a good game. Beal had 11 of his 13 points in the fourth quarter. He left the game with back tightness, and then everyone thought he was going to be out for a while, but he ended up coming back later in the game. Porzingis with 20 points and 7 rebounds. And the Pistons, I guess a win is a win at the end of the day, even though they're really bad. The Pistons did beat the Warriors yesterday, so you got to take the wins where they come, and they did take care of business, which was the last time they did so. As we move on to the next game.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we'll have to go through these. We'll go through them pretty quickly, and then we'll move to like previewing upcoming attractions. But let's get through them as we go. So the Indiana Pacers just really kind of dominated the first quarter and set us back pretty quickly, 36-28, and then they outscored us 39-32. So to have 2 quarters to start a game where you're over 35, I mean, it's going to be tough to win that game. You're putting yourself in a difficult situation. The Wizards did outscore them 30-26 in the third to cut it a little bit, and then they cut it a little bit more, outscored them 27-26 in the fourth quarter. But by that point, they still ended up losing by 10. And it's just, even if you make a valiant effort to come back in a game, it's just you've expended so much energy early on. It's really, really tough to come back. But Tim, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on this game?
This was a strange game because it was nationally televised on Friday, and these teams aren't really playoff contenders to most people. So it was just odd to have that national audience, and the Pacers came to play and the Wizards didn't, especially Halliburton was hitting a lot of threes. The Pacers in general were just on fire from the 3-point line the entire game, especially in the first half. And that's why they were just unstoppable in the first quarter, and the Wizards fell behind. It wasn't all bad D. Sometimes the defense was pretty good. Just the Pacers have some good shooters, and although the Pacers started out really slow, including getting kind of blown out by the Wizards in the first game, they're playing a lot better recently. And I think maybe just kind of getting some new guys into the rotation and having some other guys come back healthy is helping them. But the Wizards were just never really in this game, and very disappointing effort for, an ESPN game like that.
Yeah, but not surprising.
No, not based
DC
on our
sports
history.
teams just don't do well on
Shit the
national
bed
TV.
on national TV.
It's just historically true. I mean, they come back, and Commanders have gotten a couple wins recently. And that's been
Yeah,
nice
that's
to see.
true.
But just overall, it's almost never very good for them. So, yeah, it's definitely frustrating. Welcome, CT, to chat on Twitch. Happy Halloween to you as well. Happy Halloween to everybody listening in. I appreciate people for tuning in, whether it be on our Facebook or on our Twitch. It's been a fun Halloween so far. Unfortunately, if you're just tuning in, we've had 2 losses. The Wizards live loss, that was frustrating, and then a shootout loss for the Capitals. And we're watching a terrible Monday Night Football. Browns outscoring the Bengals 25-6 with 10:45 left in the game. And so it's been an interesting night, but I did get to trick or treat with my son. If anyone wants to check that out, you can check my Instagram out, which I'm super happy we hit 500 people following on Instagram. So thank you for all those people. My Instagram is the same as it is on Twitch, Robbie G _ SportsOTHP. And I do cute videos of the adventures I do with my family vlog style and stuff like that. So I had a good Halloween so far. It's been a fun night so far on this podcast. We're about to hit the 1 hour mark in just a couple of minutes. But Arun, what is, or Champ, did I get your take?
No, you didn't get my take yet.
Yeah, so Champ, what is your take on this?
I was gonna say, you guys actually said what I was getting ready to say. It's like, it seems like DC teams don't do well on national TV. They were down by 15 at the half. Like, Pacers had already scored 75 points by the half. At that point, you're in the crap. You know, you're in the weeds, as they say in the restaurant business. You're in the weeds at this point. I mean, you got a lot out of Bradley Beal. He had 31 points, but it didn't really matter much. You chipped away at the lead in the second half, but it wasn't by much. And when you're down by 15 at the half, only outscoring them by 3 and 3 is not going to get it done in a game like this. So bottom line is that this was just not a good game. And now the whole country sees you and are like, yeah, you're not real at this point. And that's just not the visual you want for everybody to see this early on in the season. But at the same time, if this team can get on a run, especially going towards the All-Star break, which we're a long way away from, but if by the All-Star break this team is like world beaters, then they're like, oh, okay. But this was not a good game at all.
Yeah. I didn't like it. Arun, give us some interesting stats. I'll scroll down and show something more than just.
Yeah, I just want to touch on that. DeLon Wright got injured in the previous game, and even though he's just the backup point guard, he's one of the key defensive players on this team. And he was a key in that victory over Detroit. He had I believe a couple steals and right before he got injured, and he's out for 6 to 8 weeks. And the bench really struggled. With Rui in the lineup, even though he plays well offensively, scores buckets, they were outscored massively by 19 points whenever Rui was on the floor. And I just think from three-point range, Indiana was just on fire, 52% from three. They're pretty much going to lose, even though the Wizards shot the ball relatively well, and they scored 117 points, 127 points on the other end. It's almost usually going to lead to a loss. And Beal with a very good game with 31 points. He got to the line 7 times. I think it's his best offensive game of the season. It was in prime time, so it's good for him. But the Wizards defense kind of let them down. And they even said after the game that they probably took the Pacers lightly because they beat them the previous week. But Miles Turner, who was out the first game, he was back in the lineup, even though he scored 5 points. He's somebody who helped stretch the floor as well. And he made 3 of 4. Actually, he had 27 points, so that's really good. So he stretched the floor, and that's why the Pacers ultimately were able to dominate.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, let's get into the next game, which was the Celtics game, which I actually watched a fair amount of. It just started off so badly again.
Look at that first
so
quarter.
hard to come back from these games, 34-15. I mean, that is brutal. And I was so excited. I turned it on because it was on during the Commanders game, so I was having my studio set up and had both games on. I was excited to watch both games. I mean, I guess I'm happy that the Commanders won, but just all the luck went out of the Wizards when it was on at the same time.
All went to them.
And it's I mean, they tried to make a comeback, outscored them 32-24 in the second to make it somewhat closer. But then the Celtics expanded that lead again, outscored them 29-21 in the third. And then the Wizards outscored them by 1 in the fourth. But by that time, it's too little too late. And it's a 112-94 win for the Boston Celtics. And just not, they had been shooting so well. This is one of those games where it kind of crashed back down to earth. Just a frustrating loss for the Wizards. Here are some of the Wizards stories. I'll start with you, Tim. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, just Beal has had a lot of good games in terms of assists, and I think he's playing better defense. But another game for him where he's scoring far less than his average. And he's a really consistent guy, normally scoring 20 plus points. So not a huge problem necessarily because the Wizards do have some secondary scorers, but just something to pay attention to because he's such a focal point. I think the defenses sometimes like really focus on him. So if he's in a funk, like he can really struggle. And obviously Wizards shot really badly from the 3-point line. This game, they were never really in it. As Robbie said, the Celtics are just, much farther ahead, probably a championship contender, even though their coach is gone so for a year. But I was hoping the Wizards would be at least competitive. I know last year before the Celtics really turned it on, the Wizards actually beat the Celtics a couple times early. So this year it doesn't look very good in this matchup, but we'll see. Not good game one though.
Yeah, for sure. Diehard Celtics fan, Carly didn't know that they had beat us until just now, which I think is kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go to champ next.
Not a matchup you circle on the calendar, I guess, if
Exactly.
you're a Celtics fan.
Exactly. Champ, what are some of your thoughts on this game?
How do you spell the Wizards' effort in this game? TRASH. Trash. This was a bad game for the Wizards. Yeah, you had 4 players in double figures. Big deal. Y'all shot crap. And that's the Celtics just ran y'all out of their gym. Just ran y'all out of the gym.
100 shots, 98 shot attempts.
That is crazy.
That
That y'all
8 of them.
The Wizards shot almost 100 shots and only made not even 40% of those shots. How can you call yourself an NBA team if you're making less than 40% of shots and you're shooting it almost 100 times? Someone explain it to me. I don't want to talk no more about this game. This game was trash.
That's fair. All right.
Theme.
Arun, the final statistical breakdown of this game.
Yeah, trash is one way to describe it. It just like kind of over after the first quarter when they're down 34-14, and I kind of tuned out. And then Monte Morris, he led the team in minus 26. They were outscored. Denny only played 11 minutes because Wes Unseld Jr. said he wasn't playing any defense, but I think Denny is actually their best defender. So I don't know, like subbing in Rui, who again, he's outscored by minus 17 when he was on the floor. Deal 4 of 16 from the field with 12 points isn't going to get it done. Porzingis with the best game, 17 points and 13 rebounds. But the Celtics, and I guess Johnny Davis, who looks like a bust, but he got his first NBA bucket as a rookie, but he looks pretty bad for the Wizards so far.
Not good when we're saying bust in like
I know,
the 5th game. But he barely plays.
Drafting and just, I don't know. I feel like scouts across DC are terrible. Like, I mean, maybe in hockey we're okay, but like not amazing, like average. But like in all the other sports, like I feel like we just draft some horrible busts, and it's
we got Wall and Beal. That's about it.
Yeah,
Most of
and
the others.
Hopefully he turns it around like Jason Smith, but I don't know. He needs a little motivation right now.
We also have Rui and Denny, future All-Stars.
right.
Yeah.
We'll see how that.
In the G League, maybe.
Right. Exactly.
The Gatorade All-Star team.
All right, let's move on to the 76ers game.
This is off the rails.
Off the rails. The 76ers outscored us once again in the first quarter, only 30-28. And the Wizards outscored them 24-22. Which, if you do math, means that they were tied at halftime. And then the 76ers once again came out of the gates, just outplayed them, outscored them 34-21. And the Wizards tried to come back and outscored them 38-32 in the fourth, but it was too little too late. They got it within a couple of points at the end of the game, made it a little bit exciting. But again, it's just like they just like shoot themselves in the foot, and whether it's in the first quarter or in the third quarter in this situation, but it's just like coming out the gate out of the locker room and just not playing well and then trying to make it up and then just falling short just seems to be like the theme of the week here. But Tim, what are your thoughts on tonight's game?
Yeah, I mean, the Wizards sometimes give it up very early, sometimes late. Like in the Cleveland game was a very close loss, and I think they played hard in that game, but this really was that 18-2 run in the third quarter. I thought the Wizards played pretty well in the first half. They looked they looked pretty motivated. Obviously, they're tired with the back-to-back, and you wouldn't expect them to win, but that third quarter was just bad. Again, they let up a lot of 3-point shots. Beal had a bunch of turnovers. The Beal didn't look good really to down the stretch today, and the fourth quarter they came back a bit, but Philly was never really worried. I think like the Wizards never really got it closer than maybe 7 points, and there was a key point down 7 where Beal had a 3-point shot that was open and he passed it up, and Drew Gooden and the very knowledgeable Chris Miller called him out. So that was kind of bad because he wasn't aggressive. Probably tired at the end, to be honest. So not good, but
Yeah, for sure. All right, Kev, what are some of your thoughts on tonight's game?
The bench was just awful again. Again, I guess they decided to start Anthony Gill, and this time they brought Danny off the bench, and I think he didn't even score a bucket. And then Rui again minus 18 off the bench, even though he had double figures. That the bench just hasn't been getting it done, and I think I don't know what Wes Unseld Jr. is going to do without Wright, but he needs to figure something out. He played Taj Gibson 3 minutes and Johnny Davis 4 minutes, and they gave a combined 2 points in 7 minutes. And I don't know what they're really going to do. Maybe the G League players have to
bring up a minor leaguer.
Yeah.
And Champ, what are some of your thoughts on this game?
There was one other point I wanted to make about the Celtics game. I literally forgot until just now. Wizards got to do better defending against the three because the Celtics just lit them up from beyond the arc, but that's neither here nor there. This game was marginally better than the Celtics game, and I use that term very loosely. They shot a little bit better than they did against the Celtics, but coming off a back-to-back, you have no confidence in the effort of the team, and also being a back-to-back where it was you were on the road and then you had to travel back. So this was already a problematic game from the jump, having to travel from Boston back to DC to host the 76ers. And then the 76ers came in here and they really shot it well. They played well. The Wizards had to fight. They scrapped. They had to scrap in them. But it just was not enough against this team. James Harden played pretty well. On the other side, Kristaps Porzingis absolutely did his thing tonight. He played so well tonight, but you can't rely on just Porzingis. You can't rely on just Beal. You can't rely on just Kuzma. Everybody has to be involved offensively, and then you have to play defense as well. Otherwise, teams like this are going to run you out of your own gym. They didn't run them out of this gym, but they sure made them limp out of this gym, out of their own gym, and that's embarrassing. And after a very promising start, it's starting to look bad.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just break down the upcoming schedule for the week, and then we'll let Tim get out of here, and then we'll talk a little bit of football. And it's a little bit of a later night since it's already almost 11 o'clock, but we're only an hour and 6 minutes into the show. But I appreciate all you guys for being on tonight on the Halloween. It's always fun to break stuff down, even if we didn't win the games, so to speak. But let's talk about the Wizards' upcoming schedule. We, in fact, just saw this opponent. So it's a home and home, this time in Philadelphia. It's a 6 o'clock start time on Wednesday, which I don't understand.
Yes.
Why is it a 6 o'clock start time? Does anyone know?
Probably the World Series.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh,
Yeah, they could be trying to get them out before it's like a mess for World Series traffic. It's probably a traffic thing.
Interesting.
I bet you it was recently pushed up.
Thing. Yeah. It caught me by surprise to see a 6 o'clock.
Oh, this upcoming schedule this week is not good.
Yeah, it's at Philly at 6 o'clock on Wednesday, then Brooklyn at home on Friday, and then Sunday at Memphis, another 6 o'clock start time. That's on the weekend. And then next week on Monday, not only do we have a live watch along
Double watch
hockey
along
game,
again.
we're doing a live watch along in both sports again. And this time it's against Charlotte. We'll be further along, obviously, since we'll do the Wizards talk segment, probably later in that episode than in tonight's. But again, I'll let you guys know, because if Casey's coming on, I'd like to do a back-to-back hockey and basketball segment. But if Dugenet's coming on, I'd like for him to get his football segment earlier. So it just depends on who we'll have. So it'll be a game time decision, or I'll announce on my social medias whether we're talking about Wizards or Commanders. First, I'm going to tell you now, if the Commanders somehow find a way to win next week, I probably want to talk about them earlier and have Dugenet on. They lose, I probably don't care as much, but we'll see, and we'll definitely talk about that, and I'll put out an update next Sunday on that. But we will once again be back to our normal 9 o'clock start with hockey, regardless. And that'll be during a live Edmonton Oilers game, so that'll be interesting to both recap a couple of games with Anna, as well as talking about us probably getting beaten by Edmonton in that one. So again, it's at Philadelphia, Brooklyn, Friday, November 4th at 7, and then at Memphis on November 6th at 6 o'clock, an early start time on Sunday, which will be nice because I believe the Commanders is a 1 o'clock game. Is that right, Kim?
I believe it is.
Yeah, so that'll be good. Then we have 1 o'clock till like 5 football, and then can switch gears to some basketball afterwards. Hopefully get some dubs. That would be nice. And then we got that at Charlotte game on Monday. So let's break them down, each one of them. Philadelphia, so I'll start real quickly with your thoughts, Tim, on playing them right away.
Wizards will probably lose again. They struggle in Philadelphia. They haven't won a lot of games there recently, and Philadelphia is a good team. So the Wizards might be motivated to get some revenge after Philly kind of was talking trash at the end of tonight's game, but they're just a better team. So I'm going to say L.
Yeah, and then go to Champ. I'll go to you next.
Yeah, I agree with Tim. This is going to be a revenge game for the Wizards, and especially on Philly's home turf. Philly fans might be more focused on Philadelphia fans might be more focused on the Phillies in the World Series than this game, so they may not be much of a factor. The Wizards got to go in; they got to shoot much better than they have been, and I think they can get the W. But they got to work hard for it. They're going to have plenty of time to rest, a couple days, but they got to go out and get it done.
I can't believe Philadelphia is having this resurgence in all their sports.
Their MLS team is in the championship. Yeah, the MLS team is in the championship.
Yeah.
It's all of them.
And they're the best team in MLS, clearly. So they're favored to win it.
They're favored to win that. In hockey, they were top of the Metro as of a couple of days ago, at least. And then, in baseball, they're in the World Series. And then they've been playing, pretty good ball in basketball as well. And, so it's
NFL top team.
And then they're the top team in the NFL. So that's just crazy to me that they can be so good at all the sports at one given time. DC has never had that. I got to give them a little props. That's probably true. Arun, your thoughts about Philadelphia?
Yeah, they started off the season 1-4, and now they're 4-1 in their last game, so they're now 4-4. But I think it's probably a loss, but you never know. I think at this time last week, the Sixers looked really bad, so hopefully the Wizards could turn it around. But although maybe they're making a push for the number 1 pick, the Wizards, so we'll see how it turns out for them. I think they'll lose the Wizards.
Yeah. All right, next game, Brooklyn. The Nets are coming to town Friday at 7. Tim, your thoughts?
Brooklyn actually looks bad this year. I think that might be a win. Maybe actually the most likely win of the week. So I'm going to actually say a win because Brooklyn has got every kind of problem out there, Yeah. So
we got to be motivated after a couple of losses too.
Yeah, Wizards need a win badly.
Yeah,
get that mojo back.
Ken, what are your thoughts on Brooklyn?
Kyrie Irving is a basket case, number one. I just want to put that out there. This is another one where the Nets are not as good as they seem, even though they have a couple of very talented guys in Kyrie and KD. But I honestly feel like this Wizards team, if they can really lock those two guys down and once again just shoot the ball well, at least shoot at least over 50%, I think they can beat the Nets. So I didn't call the 76ers one a win. I'm not ready to call that one yet. I'll tell you if I do call it a win later, but I'm definitely calling this one a win. I think the Nets are not as good as they think they are, and I don't think the Nets are as good as people think they are.
Yeah, for sure. I want to welcome to chat Swatters, and we got the great KR Acoustic as well. Not over in that channel, so welcome to Twitch chat to both of you, and nice to have you guys here. They're talking about Swatters was saying a tough week for the Wizards. You'll bounce back. Brooklyn is a dumpster fire, and that's true. And then KR wants us to talk about the 139 win for the Raptors over the Hawks, 139 to 109. So it's crushed the Hawks. So good for Toronto in that one. Arun, what are your thoughts on this Brooklyn game?
Yeah, the Nets, I think they've been one of the weirdest teams, and as Champ mentioned, Kyrie's been acting kind of crazy. Ben Simmons is like, I don't know what's happened to him. I think his season high so far, 7 points. He's kind of lost a little bit. Maybe he scored more tonight in their win against the Pacers, but I haven't checked the complete box score. I think the Wizards, I don't know, like the Nets just did beat the Pacers, so right now I think the Nets are going to beat the Wizards, especially if Anthony Gill is going to be in the starting lineup and not Denny. So I'm going to go with the Nets here.
Yeah. But all right, let's get into the Memphis game at Memphis, 6:00 on Sunday. Tim, what are your thoughts on that one?
I think the Wizards will probably lose this game. Memphis was a really good playoff team last year. They turned it on at the end, had a good run, and it's a tough place to win. I'm not saying it's impossible for the Wizards, but I do predict a loss here. Ja Morant, etc. A lot of good players in Memphis, good young talent. You'd love to see the Wizards kind of turn into a team like them eventually, but not there yet.
Jeff, what are your thoughts on Memphis?
Tim said exactly what I was going to say. Ja Morant is averaging almost 33 points a game already we're nowhere near even a quarter of the way through the season, and this man's already averaging almost 33 points. So he's going to be a big problem for this Wizards team. So if they can't find a way to stop him from getting that 33 points that he normally seems to get, they're going to have problems. I'm definitely predicting a loss for this one as well. I think the Grizzlies are a very tough team in a very tough conference of the Western Conference. They're already starting to stand out already early on in the season. So this is going to be a tough one, and it's on the road as well. So this is going to be a tough one, but I think they fall on this one.
Yeah, so Arun, they play Memphis twice in 7 days, 2 Sundays in a row, both at 6:00, which is an interesting, statistic. Both in Memphis, and then on the November 13th they'll play at home. I just thought it's interesting because they only play them twice all year, and they happen to be that close together. Arun, what are your thoughts on Memphis?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a loss, but I just want to point out that Utah is beating Memphis 97-74. I don't think anyone really saw that happening.
Oh,
so maybe
in Utah,
maybe Utah is a championship contender, or just maybe Memphis can be beat like in any given game. But Ja Morant has 36 points, but the rest of the team only has 38 points. It's pretty crazy.
Interesting. All right. Well, I guess we can get all your thoughts real quickly on the Charlotte game, but we will be doing a live show. It'll actually probably be just a post game by the time that that's done.
Yeah.
I'll have you guys on for that, but we'll let you guys each preview it, since I'll have a chance to preview that game for sure. And Tim, what are your thoughts on going to Charlotte the next day? It's another back-to-back, just like we had this week.
Yeah, and 2 road in a row. This is going to be tough. I think normally I think the Wizards could hang with the Hornets and beat them, but just tough to play it back to back. And the Hornets had a decent team last year. So just Ball and guys like that. I think Rozier is still there. So it's winnable. I think the Wizards might get their second win of the week there, but I still think it's a loss.
Yeah.
If I had to bet.
I don't agree with you. Champ, what are your thoughts?
Second week in a row, back to back. But and again, it's travel. We go from Memphis to Charlotte. Oh man, NBA schedule makers just don't like this team clearly. This is gonna be one that I feel like could be winnable. It could be winnable, honestly. The Hornets are just about at the same level as the Wizards, but it's going to come down to Bradley Beal being at his best in terms of scoring. Again, I've been preaching this since I've been on this podcast covering this team. Defense, locking down Gordon Hayward, and being able to get enough energy to be able to withstand this team. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say they win this one. I think that they're going. I think they're going to go 2-2 this week. Honestly, I think they're going to go 2-2. 76 is going to be a loss, and Memphis is going to be a loss, but they're going to win their other two.
I hope that you're right. I really want to hear some of your thoughts on this Charlotte.
Yeah, they're without Miles Bridges from last year, who was like, but because he's like still pending court case, like and they didn't re-sign him. And but PJ Washington, he scored 59 points in his last 2 games, so he's stepping up in his absence, I believe. I don't sure if LaMelo Ball is back yet from his injury. Maybe he is, but if the Wizards lose this game, they might as well just start tanking because Charlotte is not really that good on paper. And I don't even know who they'll be able to pass. Maybe Orlando's the only other team that they'll be better than in the division. Even that might be questionable if they lose to Charlotte.
Yeah. Swatter says you got the Hornets. They're seriously overrated. Well, I hope that that's true because next week we'll definitely be talking about that. I think the most likely podcast times would be that we would talk Wizards in the second hour. We would talk Commanders about 40 minutes into it, so we may talk both in the second hour, to be totally honest, because if there's a live Caps game and we're recapping games, that might take an hour. So we'll see how that all plays out. But we'll say if the Commanders win, they'll start the 10 o'clock hours, and if not, then the Wizards will start the 10 o'clock hours. For people who want to know more about us and see us next week, I appreciate everyone for tuning in for Wizards Talk. Tim, I'm gonna let you give any final thoughts you have, and then I'm gonna switch some cameras and stuff around and let you get out of here so you can go. And then you've got work tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. No, it was just fun. It's been a while since I've been on, and I hope to do the show again soon. And I hope we get a couple wins this week, so it's not a sad recap like today.
Yeah, for sure, that would be nice. But
have a happy Halloween too.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for coming over for Halloween. It was fun to watch these games live together. And this is when I started this show. We used to do watch-alongs together a lot, and so it's fun to be able to bring that back, especially on a Halloween night and stuff like that. Congratulations about your Ravens.
Oh yeah, thanks.
This game seems to be going fairly well, even though
it's good for them too.
So and also the Eagles beating the Steelers was good as well.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Lots of good stuff.
Yeah, so that is great. But Tim, any final thoughts before we let you go?
No, that's it, guys. Have a good rest of the show. Enjoy talking about this win from yesterday. It was a great catch by McLaurin. So glad you got that one. It's going to be fun to recap.
Yeah, it sounds good. Well, I appreciate it. Let me switch out the microphone. And
happy Halloween, Tim.
Yeah, you too, man. Have a good one. See you, Arun.
See ya.